Okay, welcome to the March 2024 Missouri Evergreen Cataloging Meeting. Woo-hoo! I just asked a question before we started. Has anybody started their research yet? And we got a couple that have completed it, a couple so far so goods. So that's pretty awesome. Let's see, I lost my agenda. Hang on just a second. Okay.
Can we just share mine?
I've got it. But if you want to share. Okay, so we are super close to the users conference that is in just, I don't know, a month now or so. We are doing a cataloging presentation. We thought we would do it on authorities. If anybody has any, you can always, we're going to be there all day. So if anybody wants to come with specific questions and stuff, Liz and I, the committee, we're all going to be super happy to help you. I'm not sure how many of us are going to be there, but I know Liz and I are. But if you have any more ideas on what what our presentation could be on, I think we've settled on authorities, but if we get a better idea, we are probably open to that. I hope to see some of you. I'd love to see you in person, but remember that you can attend via Zoom as well. Or I guess it's via, shoot, what's it called? Ulu? Odoo. Is the online version of it in Odoo, Liz, or is it in Zoom?
Actually, now that you say that, I don't know. That would be a Steve question. Does Odoo do that, or does it just allow you to sign up? I was assuming it was Zoom, but.
Well, Steve is here. He might.
Per usual, Liz is right. It is all the sessions will actually be Zoomed, and there are actually, if you look at, I think I've already got them in there. If you look in the agenda, it gives you links to each one of the sessions, and they'll eventually be archived as well. But yeah, it's technically Zoom, but you can get to everything through Odoo.
Perfect. So I'm excited for our second annual user conference, and I hope that we have some attendance from our awesome catalogers in Missouri Evergreen. Another exciting thing is regional cataloging training. Liz has started, her first one is this week, this Friday at Cedar County. And
I'll be at Stockton. So if you have not signed up and you want to be at Stockton, guys, you need to sign up like sooner rather than later so that we can get a head count for food and whatever. But this week. The other ones are linked below. So if you click the here in the agenda, they will open up the page where you can sign up. It is just going to ask you your name, your library, any questions, and dietary preferences. So it's really easy. And then you will get automatic emails telling you, oh, it's a week from, or it's a day from, or whatever, just to remind you. So please go and sign up if you want to attend a regional planning. So far, I think Livingston is the biggest. There are 25 people already signed up for Livingston.
Nice.
Yeah, so very impressive. But guys, please go sign up if you want to attend one. Not required. We just, we want to see you. We want to touch base, see faces, get questions answered.
The training is going to be great, but even beyond that, if you can go to connect with your fellow catalogers in Missouri Evergreen. That is one of the best parts of it.
Cataloging certification and recertification, I think it's going pretty well. I have numbers here. I didn't update them as of just right the second somebody else passed, but so we have 13 people who have completed the recertification process for advanced and 3 that have completed the basic. And then of course, we still have new catalogers coming in and completing the regular, basic, and advanced certification. So if you have questions while you're doing this, please email me. It is not a big deal. It is just me on the other end. It's not even the entire track committee. It's just Liz. So don't feel stupid if something doesn't work. Trust me, it's a crapshoot sometimes whether the links are going to go or not. So I get it. But please feel free to contact me. The last thing I want to talk about today is, I feel like there should be a drum roll, the crib sheet. I have been promising these to you guys forever. It took a long time to make. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and, can I put them in the chat? Can I upload something? Let's see. You're gonna go ahead and watch me, that's fine. I will upload them to the chat. So basically what a crib sheet is a crib sheet is, in a perfect world, this is what a MARC record of this kind should look like. Now, that means it will contain other fields that aren't necessarily required if you're like making a record from scratch, but this is like, these are like pinky up what MARC records look like, okay? So here we go. In the crib sheets document, you'll notice is over 100 pages. Guys, I put it in the index, hopefully to make it easier. But the way this works is they are broken down by type. So the first is, okay, so we have books, and then if you want an example of a J-graphic novel, I think it's actually linked so you can click it and it will take you. Yes, it will take you right there. So this is what a J-graphic novel looks like. Okay. They also have directions at the very beginning of each section that kind of explains what you're going to see on each record. So whether that is here we go, like the fixed fields, explain a little bit of the fixed fields, or then the common fields you're going to see actually in the MARC record. And each fixed field up here is linked, so you can click those and it will take you to directions about that fixed field if you have more questions. I tried to include anything and everything in this that I either thought of, oh, hey, that's a great idea, or was requested to. So if you requested a crib sheet, it should be in here. Now, if you go through these and you're like, I'd really, really like a crib sheet on X, after you look at these and determine it's not in there, email me. I am happy to add another crib sheet after 100 pages. What's another crib sheet, guys? What's one more? So I'm happy to add more. It's just I got to a point where I couldn't think of anything else to put in there. So please look over these. Please use them. If you're brave enough and you print it, let me know how that goes because it's very, very long. I don't know if I'd suggest that, but please use these. And if you have any questions about them, let me know. I'm happy to answer them. But finally, crib sheets document for you guys. Very exciting.
Liz, can I ask a question?
Uh-huh.
You sent these out to us last week, and so I messed around because I was doing makerspace cataloging, so I looked at the fishing pole one. And I couldn't get it to print, but I didn't know if that was because that was just a precursor that you sent the CAT committee, or if it was user error on my part, or if we just don't have so it's a PDF file. I may not have the what you call it, the pay version
the
of
reader or whatever.
Yes.
Okay. So what I will do is I'm going to put these into Odoo, whatever. I forget what it is every time I go to say it. And I will put them in there in a PDF version and the one that like will link out, and you can just open it in Google and it will let you print.
Okay, awesome.
So
Thank you. I just
probably the PDF.
screenshotted and like printed
Yeah.
because I just wanted it like physically in front of me while I had like the MARC record on the screen, and so thank you.
I'm assuming it's that, but if you
I'm
guys
sure
go and try to print it and it still doesn't print, please let me know because that's not helpful.
I am ecstatic about this document. The amount of time that Liz put into it is incredible, but also if you're, a lot of this stuff, if you don't catalog it every day, which come on, we don't catalog a lot of this stuff every day, a crib sheet or a cheat sheet, it's a wonderful thing to look at and kind of guide you. And honestly, I'm a self-taught cataloger, and this is how I learned 20 years ago. You know, I just looked at really good MARC records and practiced and practiced and practiced, and then all of a sudden I'm a cataloger. And so to learn cataloging, you just got to dive in, and this really helps you do that. So
and I don't think anyone, even like a great professional cataloger like Kate and I, we can't like off the top of our head on a database that just catalog originally a serial and remember all the, no, absolutely not. A fishing, no, I have to look that up. Don't feel bad about that. I mean, it is what it is. That's why we have these. So a crib sheets, I'm going to rely on my own crib sheets, guys. I'm going to go back and reference them when I have to do something. So don't expect that you're just going to eventually remember all this. Use your resources.
Any questions on the crib sheets? Everybody continue to send your amazement for Liz in the chat. Moving on, it's Liz is going to talk about bugs.
So I actually came across a bug when I started making crib sheets. So that's fun. I thought it was me, of course, because you always blame yourself and not the actual system. But there is a bug in one of these 6 fields, and I'll click out here, for using computer files. So I contacted Equinox and they said, hey, okay, we're going to make a fix for that. It's a pretty big deal. So they have already instituted a fix for that, and it will be coming out with the next Sequoia update on 3/20. So guys, this is great. You can see this like happening in real time, us having issues and it getting fixed. And then of course I added a bug that if you guys would like to add heat to, it affects us also. It is an 007 bug, and basically when you are in the 007 attributes wizard and you're trying to click through it, some things aren't included in there. They're just missing. So getting this fix would be really helpful, right? We expect that wizard to have everything in it. So if you could go and like add some heat, there's directions on how to do this on the MEC website. That would be fantastic.
I just added heat to that one.
Anybody have any questions about bugs?
Go ahead and sally forth, Liz.
All right. So cataloging discussion, we're going to start with something that I believe was talked about in, was it Cat Health a couple months ago, because Kate and I were sick last month, so we didn't have a meeting, so I can't remember. But okay, so let's say you have a book or whatever, and included inside of it, which this is a common thing in juvenile, or stickers. So I have an example, like let's see if it'll, I screenshot it. Okay. So here's the MARC record, and it says plus 2 sheets of stickers. Now, because of us being public libraries and these things are being used, right? So like the first person uses this, probably going to use those stickers. It's a finite resource. Does it have to be in that book to make that book what it is? No. So if you come across books, or I'm trying to think of another example of when this would happen, but it's generally things like this. You don't have to put the +2 or +E2 sticker sheets in the 300 field. And actually, we would suggest you don't, because most people either pull those out and use them for rewards, or the first person who comes across that book is maybe just going to take them. And since it's not like integral to the book, I would suggest not putting it in there. So you could have maybe like a note that says some may contain stickers, but I wouldn't necessarily put it in the 300, because if you put it there, it's expected to be there when somebody checks it out.
There's some great examples coming through the chat. Posters is another good one because there are often posters. And
Yes,
then
and you have to like rip them out or whatever.
yeah, there's some good examples coming through. This does not mean like we're not talking about books with accompanying CD or something like that. That is this, like it says, this is a finite material. This stuff is going to run out, or
and you wouldn't have it to add it back in anyway. It doesn't come with 15 posters you can add back in. It's just, it is what it is, and whoever gets it, or you've taken it out before it circulates.
would you remove it from the MARC record if you were importing a record?
Yes, I would.
That question is from Rachel in the chat, by the way.
I would absolutely remove it, since anything's finite like that, we can't expect it to be in even the second person who checks it out, you know, instance of the book. I'm glad you guys are better at coming up with examples because my mind blanks and I thought stickers and that posters, yes, all the time. Anybody have questions on that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know much about this, Liz, the
Okay.
clear added content cache.
So hey, I just realized I don't have the CAD logo, which that's not helpful. Let me pull that up. Let me change the screen I'm sharing. Okay, there we go. Now can you see
Yes.
that side of the catalog? Awesome. Okay, so basically, I'm just going to go in and retrieve the last bib record I had up. This will be something random. So basically, what this is when you are in the record summary, so the part where you have clicked in and you can see, you know, the item table and everything, there's a new option under other actions. And it says clear added content cache. Now, if you have ever tried to upload an image when one is missing from the record, say for a kit or something, you upload it, and a lot of the times it doesn't appear to be there unless you click into the OPAC side. That is because of the cache that has happened when you open this record. So basically, what that button does is it clears that cache that you have created within Missouri Evergreen without clearing the entire cache that you have in the browser. Because remember, if you clear the one in the browser completely, your passwords kind of go away and you have to like re-input them if you have OCLC or something like that. So this is just the cache that's created for your browser in the catalog. That makes sense to everybody?
That's pretty handy.
Yes. So if you upload something, then you can just do other actions, clear that cache, and then hopefully it should pop up like it's supposed to. They were having so many questions, I think, about why isn't my picture showing up or you know, something like that. That's why I think they did this, and it makes it way easier. Then you don't have to click out from it.
Can I say something about that?
Absolutely.
I accidentally put in the wrong one or it wasn't looking right. And so I cleared it out so that would go away so I could upload the correct one. So that's why I used it. Because before, if I'd gotten the wrong one, you could just upload another one to replace it. And that sometimes worked and it didn't work as well. So I used that clear the cache and then uploaded the other one and it did work. So
there we go.
That's all.
So
yeah.
I don't have as much occasion to use these as much. So I used it once to see what it did, how it would work. But you guys keep me updated if it works the way we're expecting it to, and if it's useful. Hopefully it's as useful as I think it's going to be, because that was super annoying having to click out and clear the actual browser cache.
For those of us that put in, especially Library of Things stuff, you know, that kind of thing where you need to upload an original photo. This is very handy. Okay. Something that we have been talking about in committee is the subject heading subdivisions for juvenile comics and graphic novels and manga. And which is correct, which is incorrect. Is it incorrect or is it correct? So Liz is going to talk about that.
Okay, so you will see this in the crib sheet, right? It is in the J graphic novels and I think, yeah, J graphic novels. But to be pinky in the air, absolutely correct, on juvenile subject headings, when you are doing a comic, graphic novel, manga, juvenile specifically, this doesn't even include the YA stuff, okay? You technically include the heading twice, and on the first heading, you use the subdivision, comics, books, script, etc. And on the second one, you use either juvenile fiction or juvenile literature, depending on what it is. So if it's very, very the most correct, it will have both. The subject headings will look repeated, but they have different endings. It's kind of annoying to look at, but that is the most correct. And that's how it is in the crib sheets for the J stuff.
Any questions? Liz, is there a reason why the comic books, strips, etc. one should be the first one?
It doesn't have to be. It does not have to be. That is dealer's choice. You include both. You can put whichever one first you would like.
Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is our favorite thing, which is monograph parts. This is a very specific scenario though. But if there have been some things that have come through the courier that were missing a disc. So I'm just going to go over this really quick. So using complete set, if an item is missing a piece, is you can't do that, because complete set, of course, means it's a complete set. But per the Missouri Evergreen Circ Materials Best Handling, sets that are incomplete should not even be circulated. So while the Circ committee has that best practice, we as catalogers also have a responsibility. For AV materials, especially if an item is missing a disc, the complete set part designation may not be used. You must do, you must either part out your discs. So if it's, discs 1 through 4 and you don't have disc 1, you need to add 3 holdings for disc 3, disc 2, 3, and 4. If your library is insisting on circing it, even though it's missing a piece, then your item needs to be off on its own bib record. What we are not going to do is create a new monograph part designation that says missing pieces or something like that. That is not what the monograph parts are for. So we're not going to say that it's, well, let me see. We think that things like that should be weeded, but that's neither here nor there for us, But how we circ them and how we catalog them is something that we have control over. So if you are circing materials that do not have the full complete set, then they need to be disked out, or you need to not be filling those holds, or they need to be out on their own bib record. Is there any questions about that? I'm sure that a lot of us wear several different hats in our little libraries, so Circ people probably run across this more than catalogers, but and I'm thinking of this as a patron. If I requested, a DVD set that had 4 discs, but the first 4 episodes were missing, I think that's, that's not really cool. So that's what we're trying to avoid here. So any questions on that? The next thing we're going to talk about is archive overlaying incorrectly. It's an extreme shout out to Marianne and St. Joseph Public Library and Liz for really digging in on this to figure out what's happening. And Liz, I will let you speak to this, and Marianne, if you have anything to add.
Okay, so basically what has been happening in St. Joseph caught this because they were adding items and then going back and looking at their items they'd added and realizing the edits they had made when they added their items, the edits to the MARC record, were gone. Okay, so that's not okay. That's a big deal. Where did they go? So they put in a ticket, and I don't even know, like up the chain, everybody talking about it. Basically what was happening is when we get a Marchive file, and I say we meaning really Equinox on the back end, but it's our file. Basically what that does is we get the file and they take, let's say, a screenshot of what the catalog looks like. And then they put in the Marchive file with that screenshot. However, let's say they have that screenshot data file from 4 days before they were going to actually upload the archive file. Those 4 days in between, there was an error that it was not catching those edits that were being made. So that screenshot was missing pieces because you could have edited however many records in those 4 days, but then the archive file was going back to the screenshot it had, which didn't include those. So what it was doing is it's not so much reverting anything, it was like erasing the fact that it happened at all. So this was caught, and we talked to them a whole bunch, we meaning mostly Mary Ann, and they went back and fixed November and January and were like, we got this fixed because it was a bug. This month again, well, last month, it's March now, guys. In February, St. Joseph did their due diligence, hooray for you guys, and went and looked, and it happened again. So they're working with, I think it's Rogan mostly now, or is it John? One of the two, both.
It's really both of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
To come up with a solution where this does not happen. The last thing we want is to have to put a cataloging pause and say, you can't catalog between this point and this point because the archive file has to be uploaded. They're trying to like make a script where it just is like happening and catching all those things that would have been caught between the screenshot and the actual uploading of the archive file. Currently, I don't know if they're there yet because they thought they were there and then there was another bug within the bug. So that's what I know. Mary Ann, I know you probably have stuff to add. You talked to them.
Well, the problem is it's I was first told that the extract always starts after 3 a.m. on the 25th of each month. But then if it's a weekday, if it's a holiday, it's not exactly, depending on when Marchive, when they're working in order to get it back. So it's not like it's an exact time. And but as you stated, they pulled the records, and then we do cataloging, and then like it's like time stands still from that snapshot, but then when they put it back, so therefore people were seeing, and that's why I nagged several libraries, calling them, asking them if they remembered what happened, to kind of gather evidence to see. It's like, okay, you touched this today, what did it look like? Because it would look like it would be in all caps again, like we had never touched it. So I'm thinking, oh, great. Everybody thinks that we're adding our holdings and not changing that, when in all actuality, we did. It went to them. And then when it comes back, it's back to the all caps. And so they are changing it. Well, when I saw that and I knew I had cataloged it, that's when I called the other library and said, okay, what did this look like when you saw it? In order to narrow this down, was it just something that they did and it's not really anything to do with Marchive, or and we could tell that it was one of our records just because our records come from Baker and Taylor, and there's several lines that are just only belonging to us. That's how we know, and our initials are on it from that record, that we're still there. It's like, I bet that's what's happening. So that's kind of how, and we just keep sending in examples to them so they can do the research to see, what's going on. So we've not heard anything back, so I didn't know where they were at with their findings and some solution as to where this is going forward.
Now, in the meantime, we're not doing a cataloging freeze or anything. We are doing a Marchive freeze. We're not doing the Marchive upgrades until this is figured out. So we can catalog as normal, but they are coming up with some kind of solution in the back end because, Missouri Evergreen, our libraries, we pay for the Marchive service, so we want it to work well. But we absolutely have to have Equinox do all this on the back end. It wouldn't be possible for us to do it any other way. So they have to find some kind of solution between Marchive and Equinox on how to do this. And because of course, we can't have days worth of cataloging that reverts back and that all of our work is gone. So that's what we're going to be doing.
So if you worked on a record and you went back and looked at it and were like, hey, I thought I fixed this, The catalog may be gaslighting you, and that is why. So you're not crazy. You probably did fix it. And in fact, it will still show because it captures who's the user is doing this. It'll still show that you edited it, but the actual edits will be gone. And that's even more confusing because Marchive, when it does what it does, it doesn't change that.
Which is
So-
one way that they can find it though, too. So
Yeah.
that's good on that part of it. But I
Yeah.
think this has been happening. I know Sarah started reporting this back in November and we report things and it was just kind of, oh, that was, we didn't really get a clear answer on it. And then we started seeing it more and more like, okay, this is not just one time. And then we were assured that it would never happen again. And then it did. And so, because I mean, I mentioned, I was like, well, we're just going to keep watching this because, I mean, I don't know their process. So therefore, I don't know who does what or what it takes or if there's an individual. For once I even thought it was just us because of where we get the records or using acquisitions or something that was unique to what we were doing because I hadn't heard of anyone else having problems. So wasn't sure.
I think most people assume when they edit it and add their item, it's good, and then they generally don't go back and check for something unless they have to. But this is a good lesson to learn is we don't know exactly what's happening on the back end, like at any given time. Like it's basically magic. We can't see. So if you're finding a mistake or something that's going wrong, keep track of those PCN numbers and what you think is wrong, because when they go and look and Equinox tries to see what's happening and to fix it, they need a data set to look at. So they're going to need more than just one example. They're going to need several, 10, 20 examples if you have them. Any examples you can find, send to them, because that makes it easier for them to trace what is happening and what's not supposed to happen.
Well, so you're saying they're not going to do it this month then?
That's what we are like. If we do not have a solution pretty much this week, we are going to tell them not to do the Marchive load.
Heck yeah, because they'll be doing it 2 weeks from today would be
Yes.
when they would start doing that.
Yes.
And then depending on how long it takes them after they take that snapshot and people are cataloging in between there, those are the ones that you really need to, to keep track of in that time frame.
Yes. So for now, you guys, we're not doing anything for you. You don't have to change anything you're doing. This would be maybe a Marchive gets put off for a month or so while they figure this out. So keep cataloging, keep doing what you're doing, but be aware that this is a huge issue and they're working on it, and it was a many-layered onion and bigger than they thought.
Liz, before you move on to OCLC Classify, in the chat, someone's asked if you could put in a crib sheet for the Tonys. The Tony boxes.
No.
Okay. We do have, yeah, we have some in the catalog. And it's those little boxes that you put the characters on and then it tells a story or something like that. They're getting kind of popular. Yeah. And I helped, we did have some libraries that put some in already. And so there are some examples in there, but yeah, having a crib sheet for it would be awesome because that's a perfect example of stuff that we don't do that every day. So that's what, that's when a crib sheet would be super handy.
So if I go to look these up in the catalog, if I look up TONY, will I find some?
TONIE.
IE. Okay. Okay. TON. And yes, I will look at those and get a crib sheet made and stuck in there because I didn't know those existed.
Yeah. Retta, is it Retta or Rita? I'm sorry, Retta. I don't know which one.
It's Retta.
Okay. Thank you, Retta. She's the one that, I mean, I think she was the first one to have some in the catalog and she, spent a lot of time. And I will have to say a huge shout out to her because she was very cognizant while she was cataloging of other libraries potentially using this bib record as well. So she wanted to do it correctly so that it could be utilized across our consortium. So huge shout out to Retta for that.
I will say that when I was doing them, there were specific characters that the youth or children's department wanted in the kit that was going out, and some of them came as a kit and so forth. So I individually cataloged each. For that particular kit, I copy pasted items from another MARC record that had to do with that character. And so it was time consuming.
So
Yeah,
tell
this
me-
is one of those situations where, you know, we have kind of the Tony box itself, and then your specific kit for your library could have different characters. So, you
the
might not
box
be
is
able
the-
to,
The box is the thing that plays it, I'm assuming,
right,
and the character you somehow insert or put on or whatever, and it plays something different depending on what that character is.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yes, yes, it is. Um, now, if I did it wrong, please, you're welcome to change whatever, but for what is going out from our library is whatever however I cataloged for us. So, and maybe another library has a different character there where they want to put in one of the kits. So I would say that would have to be specific for each library. I'm not, don't quote me on that, but I would say so.
Yeah,
Because if you're,
that's what I was about to say. If
Mhm.
your kit isn't circling with the exact same characters that are in that kit, then it does need to have its own bib. But you can use Retta's, bib as a great example of how to do it and add the characters that you are going to add to your kit.
yes,
So I will make a crib sheet for this once I do some little research, because I had no idea what this is. So look at you guys teaching me things. And then I can tell you it will probably be in the crib sheets under kit, and I will put kit Tony whatever, blah blah blah. So keep an eye out for that. I will get that. It is on my list of things.
Awesome.
Hey, Kate,
yeah.
before you move on, I wanted to add a little bit on the Marchive. So on Friday, every other Friday, I meet with Felicia. She's our account representative at Equinox, and I'd asked that we talk about the archive or the Marchive issue in our meeting. She brought Galen in, and he actually sat in on our meeting to talk about this. And so those of you who don't know the structure, it goes our account rep, and then sort of above our account rep is Galen, and then the president of the company. So this got elevated like one step below the president of the company, and Galen was sitting in on the meeting, explaining to me everything that everyone had done, Stephen and all the other people in the tech support level. And so he was explaining all of this. He feels like, and so like he's a couple of steps ahead above Rogan, and one of the issues that Rogan took to immediately is that he is confessing to some human error. He knows that he has done some issues with the Marchive uploads that he feels is correctable. He feels like he just missed the boat last month, but feels like it's totally correctable. And so that was one point. Another point, as Liz mentioned, they've really been deeply investigating this. They are actually going to, Galen has promised me what they refer to as an after action report. Okay, so when something really big blows up at Equinox, like servers go down and things like that, they'll issue an after action report. They're going to issue an after action report to us about this situation. And he expected it to be done, according to my notes on the a week, next week is when they're going to release that. And they'll feel like, and when they do after action, it is after action. So his intention, or his, what he was telling me, was that they feel like this is going to be taken care of in time for next month's or for this month's upload. But we will see all of that spelled out in the after action report, and I will share that with Kate and then Kate can share it with everybody else. And then just the final thing to mention about all of this is this is what we pay for. You know, in terms of, instead of you just sort of running an ILS by yourself, or buying, Follett or something like that and just hoping to get tech support. This is what we pay Equinox for. So yeah, I mean, if things are behaving in a way that you don't feel is the way they should. I mean, certainly one of the reasons we thought, as we were discussing, one of the extenuating circumstances, and positive extenuating circumstance, is that St. Joe was noticing this, and St. Joe was a new member, and so sometimes new members have fresh eyes and they see things that older members don't see. But it doesn't matter where it comes from. If you're seeing something and the software is not behaving in the way that you expect it to behave, share it with the list. Share it, open a ticket, and get Equinox involved, because this is what we pay for. So I guess that concludes. But I just wanted you to know that that I've been involved with this, and I've been speaking directly with Galen about this, as well as Felicia, and pretty much everybody at Equinox except for Lisa, the CEO. So yeah, we're moving forward, and I will keep everyone posted as I get more information too.
Yeah, this is a really big deal that, again, huge thanks to St. Joseph Public Library that noticed this, but everybody really digging in and trying to find some kind of solution, because we all know that it would not have been cool to lose our cataloging every month. So I'm glad that it's coming to a close, perhaps. Okay, Liz, OCLC Classify.
So, boo. You may have all noticed that a lot of us relied on OCLC Classify when we needed a Dewey number for something that did not have one. And OCLC Classify, as of the end of January, is defunct. If you go there, it doesn't even bring up the last iteration. It takes you to an OCLC. I think it's basically an advertisement trying to sell you Web Dewey or something. But that does not work anymore to find your Dewey numbers. So what are we suggesting going forward? Well, if you're looking for a Dewey number, I always say, find another catalog or use LC, anything you trust, and see where they have cataloged something and use that as a reference. Maybe that's what you want. If you need a number and you cannot find a number for something, contact me. Just text Liz, email Liz. I'm going to ask you what the book is, maybe the ISBN, so I can look at it to get a feel for, and I can assign a Dewey number for you. I currently have Web Dewey, so not a big deal. Please utilize me in that way if you need to. But OCLC Classify is no longer an option, unfortunately. If anyone comes across something else that is a great option, that's free, to assign a Dewey number, please let us all know, because share the knowledge, share the wealth. We currently don't know of anything else that works the same way as well. So
yeah,
right
the
now,
cataloging community as a whole, across the whole, we're all bummed that Web Dewey went to a pay service, because it was highly utilized by catalogers, and I think that's probably why it went to pay.
there hadn't been such an uproar, I think, since RDA. So if that tells you something. So please, guys, it's never a problem if you need to ask me for a Dewey number. Please feel free to do so.
So the last thing is, we have been kind of updating you guys on the state library and perhaps getting OCLC cataloging and metadata subscriptions full for our libraries. The only update we really have is that we're still talking. It's definitely not on the back burner. We are, actually in talks with the state library and with OCLC. So all is not lost. We still have hope, and it's still, on the table as a potential something that could potentially be happening. So that's really the only update we have with that. Any more questions or comments or anything that you'd like to share before we close out for this month? Yeah, we are meeting with OCLC soon, as Ron says. Ron is not only the cataloger, in case you didn't know, he is the chair of the Missouri Evergreen Executive Board. So he knows these things. Okay. I'm looking over the chat. I don't see anything that's coming through. So our next meeting will be April 8th, hopefully. We might see you either in Cedar County or Scenic Regional before then for our regional trainings. As always, email Liz or Cat Help and we will try our hardest to help you with what you need. So we'll see you later, guys.